Welcome back to Viewer Discretion, a television and entertainment podcast where my co-host David Dennis Jr. and I talk about what we're watching. And right now, David, we're watching two really good television shows. I just want to start there. Today, we're recapping both the pilot, called Pilot, of Lanterns, and also the 6th episode of Furious, and just both like phenomenal episodes of television. Really excited to discuss both these with you. Feeling pretty good about the state of TV on my screen at the moment.
Yeah, feeling good about it. Feeling also stressed. There were like different levels of stress that were happening in each of these episodes. So they dropped pretty much like hours apart from each other. And I would say like do some yoga or something in between to like get your mind right. 'Cause it's,
Furious is like
stressful.
Just careening towards the finish line.
Yeah.
With, at 80 miles per hour, massive bombshells. We'll get to that. But let's start with Lanterns. We previewed it last week by talking about how we thought Watchmen, we agreed, was our favorite superhero show of all time. Lanterns, made by Damon Lindelof, the same show creator. Met great expectations because of, like I said, Watchmen, the themes being hinted at, the actors. So it's just episode 1. So, a lot of this is expository. They kind of jump right into it, though.
Yeah.
Just general thoughts before we dig into, like, do you feel like this pilot lived up to the expectations? And do you feel like it left something to be desired? How do you feel like the casting? Where are you at right now?
Right now, it's a home run. Like right now, I feel so good about it. I feel like the thing that it does that I think what made Watchmen so great is it is such this blend of this grounded in reality, and enough like sci-fi nerd lore, and like Easter eggs and things like that can sort of whet the appetite of somebody who's like knows Green Lantern like that. Like I'm not a huge Green Lantern person, like we talked last week, but I know enough of the universe to be like, oh, that was a cool little thing, and they're just blending this sci-fi and this groundedness in a way that I think they nailed it.
Yeah, I love the casting. First of all, I'll start there because that's kind of how this thing will live or die. Like, it's so focused on 2 characters. Like Watchmen was more of a ensemble, I would say. I mean, there was some stars, but this show, like, you really need Kyle Chandler and Aaron Pierre to carry the show because it's about their relationship. And I thought they were awesome. I mean, it was cool. We didn't really talk about this. Were you a Friday Night Lights person? Like, what's your...
So I went back to Friday Night. I binged it probably like 12 years ago. Like soon after it ended, I binged it, which begs the question, what the hell has Hollywood and TV been doing with Kyle Chandler? Like, how is he not gone? How did he not go directly from Friday Night Lights to a million other things? Like he did some movies, and there was like even the movies he did were kind of like underutilizing him in these sort of ensemble.
Yeah,
it's like he would pop up, and I'd be like,
Game Night, when he plays the villain in Game Night. I love that. First of all, Game Night's one of my favorite movies of the last 15 years. But yeah, you got to see like a different side of him in that. Yeah, it's a great question. Why isn't he? I have long been on I've been saying that Kyle Chandler should be in romantic comedies too.
Yeah.
Because he's so charming and so handsome. Yeah, you're right. He's played like he was in I can't remember what the title of the movie was. It was a movie that came out that was kind of like about fascism taking over America, where he played the dad. Yeah. He was in a show on Netflix where Mosquito Coast or something. Like he's been in smaller stuff, but he hasn't had like a smash. This is like first really big, hey, he's back moment for me.
You remember, like he popped in the Wolf of Wall Street at the end, like he was the investigator, and he and Leo had these like scenes that were just bounced off the screen. He was like holding his own. He was like right there. Of course, it was one of the great Leo performances, and just like these other kind of movies where he was just there, and it was just like, okay, he's doing Kyle Chandler stuff, but it's never. I feel like he should have gone Friday Night Lights, like 2 years later. This Is Us. 2 years, you know what I'm saying? Like he should have been like the cornerstone of TV shows for the last decade, and it just hasn't happened. And I'm glad that he's back.
Yeah, I don't get it. He's such a good actor. He's so good looking, and he has range. I think The Anniversary was the name of the movie I was trying to think of. The range too is kind of what jumped out here because the character is very different from
Yeah.
Coach Taylor, and it's kind of funny. It's basically like if you took all of the moments, and Friday Night Lights is one of my favorite shows of all time,
Yeah.
where Coach Taylor was like a little too cocky and just took all of those moments and turned it in. I mean, he shows up, we see it. Well, first we get a flashback shot of him. I want to talk about in a second. We see a young Hal Jordan revealing himself to the world, but then we see him like he pulls up, hungover,
Yeah.
and it's an immediate like introduction. The character is established so quickly. The dynamic between these two, with Aaron Pierre playing the straight-laced young protege, it felt lived in, real, and believable instantly to me. I did like so. I do want to start with the flashback though, because I said, this is a pilot. They're doing a lot of exposition. I thought the exposition was pretty graceful. Like they really, it's a story that's told over many generations with many different lanterns. And this show does, I think, a really nice job of not overloading you on backstory. Right away, we see young Jon Stewart watching on TV Hal Jordan. We get a sense of who Hal Jordan was, what Green Lantern was. And then there's this insane moment where the dad comes home and before he shoots the apple, William Tell style, off of his son's head, he asks, "Are you afraid?" which is the Green Lantern, and part of the catchphrase. And we see the kid is like, just has zero fear. And literally in those like just 3 minutes, we learn pretty much everything we need to know about this world and these characters.
Yeah. And shout out to the dad, who is a phenomenal actor from P-Valley, which just for 10 seconds, I just want to why do we not have another season of P-Valley? There are no dragons. There's no CGI. It's been 5 years in between seasons. Anyway, fantastic show. He's such a good actor. I hope we get more flashbacks of him. I know the dad is still around. I wouldn't imagine he still plays the dad all these years later, but he's such a good actor, and it was such a cool scene. Watchmen-esque in the fact that they just throw you into this thing.
Yeah.
And there's something insane that happens, and then you're playing catch up for the rest of the episode.
Well, it's kind of cool too. So again, like this concept of like we're thrust into a world where people already, like, Green Lantern's famous.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting too. It's in the first scene, which I want to talk about in a second, with him and Hal in the car, and they go to the taco shop. Like, he's a celebrity.
Yeah.
He's kind of like, it's a little boys-ish, right? Because he's kind of like misuses his powers in comical ways over the course of the episode. But a lot of times with these types of shows, and like some, it's like an origin story where people have to learn about the hero and they have to accept that they're aliens. In this world, everyone knows who Green Lantern is. Everybody knows that aliens exist.
Yeah.
I kind of loved that, David, that we don't have to do the usual song and dance of like showing the world and teaching people stuff. Everybody already knows.
Yeah. And it's really cool because this is the only real look into this universe that we have are like the Superman movie that just came out, the Suicide Squad, Peacemaker thing. So we don't get all of the different corners. And now we sort of know that this stuff has been around for 30, 40 years, and people know about aliens, know about Green Lantern, all that. Like, it's still world building with just like little scraps of this other world that we've seen in these other iterations of the James Gunn DC universe that he's actively like recreating in real time over the last few years.
We're also thrust right into a pre-existing Hal and John relationship.
Yeah.
Like, again, a lot of shows would start with these guys meeting each other for the first time, part because when you do, when you're creating a show or a movie or whatever, when you show the meetings, the beginnings of things, it's an opportunity for easy, sometimes lazy exposition, right? Like, it's like, hello, I am Hal. This is, I am John. I am a soldier. Da, da, da. Nope. You get right in that car.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a good, it's trial by fire. There's this hilarious moment where he's asking when his training is going to begin. Hal puts the ring on the dashboard, jumps out, and basically is like, figure it out, bro. And I that's how the audience feels. Like, we are being put in this car. We are being told to figure it out on the fly, which, again, to go back to Watchmen and the way Damon Lindelof makes things, this is not a hand-holding show in the way a lot of superhero content is. Yeah,
I mean, all the superhero shows or movies and stuff, a lot of them, like when I think about X-Men, and Rogue goes to the mansion, right? And then it's like, here are the X-Men, here are their powers, right? Or like Guardians of the Galaxy, where the new person shows in and knows and gets explained these things. This thing is saying, like, this is who the Green Lantern, and it's also just kind of saying, like, not really insulting the audience intelligence either. It's just kind of like, you guys understand who the Green Lantern is. You've probably also been on Reddit. You've looked this up. You know the basics. We're not going to pretend like you don't. And even if you didn't do that, you're still just going to be like, this dude jumped out of a car and you have to figure something out with the ring. And then Kyle Chandler does this, and we suddenly go into like just thrusting you in there. We get the decoy Kyle Chandler, Green Hal Jordan, which we've already only seen Hal Jordan for like 2 minutes, and then we get a different version of him, and they also don't go out of their way to explain what's going on. It's just it was a reminder of like, this dude's a great actor because he turned into a whole different person.
Totally, yeah, right. Like he was a lot nicer when he was younger. Yeah. Also raises the question, what has happened in the meantime? Yeah, I loved this first scene set piece of the test, and we learn a lot about both characters very quickly. We learn, like I said, a lot about how Green Lantern or Hal Jordan is perceived in this world when he gets like, all these people stop to ask him for photos and this and that. And then we get the setup, which is the hologram, as Jon Stewart later calls it, tells him there's hail in Rushville, Nebraska. Hal takes off. Funny scene where John has to like go through TSA and fly to Nebraska to see him. And we get, again, this is another, yet again, instead of saying what the hell is happening at this crime scene, they just put us right in the middle, and we kind of have to figure, there's no moment where the sheriff pulls up and the sheriff's like, there's 4 people dead. There was a mass shooting at a football game. We don't even know. It's like, it's so discombobulating. You're almost in Jon Stewart's shoes where you're like trying to figure out what's going on. And that actually took me aback a little bit because I was like, wait, what? Did I miss something? Like, no, we're going to figure it out on the fly. We get there, we get to the field, there's 4 people dead. Hal Jordan immediately tries to tell the sheriff they're aliens. There's a guy lingering around the field, a redneck who takes off. We get an action sequence where this Jon Stewart chases him down. So this is the setup here. Yeah.
Well, we skipped over maybe the most important setup where they thrust you into this. This is in 2016.
Oh, yes.
Like, that's the thing. That's the thing. That's like another thing that it's like, we didn't know that was going to happen. Yeah. And all of a sudden it's like, we're in 2016, which if we know these creators, we know what Watchmen was. We know that there's like, we asked, what was the political leaning that we're discussing here? And we're in 2016. We're in, from Obama to Trump, we're in probably one of the most critical political moments of our lifetime, and it's just the backdrop of all this stuff happening.
Well, and it becomes relevant. It creeps into the episode.
Yeah.
It comes to a culmination in the interrogation scene, which was, I thought, unbelievable. We'll get to. At this moment, David. Like at this time, I'm like, who cares that it's 2016, right? Like at this point, like at this point in the show, they're not really. There's not like a sense of time. There's just a sense of place. We're learning the characters, but it doesn't like. There's no the time and the importance of it, which you're right to point out, doesn't really start creeping in until it goes along.
Well, the time is like the Chekhov's, like it's like you wait for the 2016 to come back. Like that was the thing. I was waiting for the 2016 to be an important point of the plot, and like you mentioned in the interrogation scene, it absolutely becomes an important part of the plot.
We start meeting the characters in this small town. It is a small town. Yeah. Everybody knows each other. Everybody's married to each other. So the first one we meet is a sheriff who is ripped straight out of Fargo. I forgot if you watched Fargo. She reminded me so much of like
this. She was in No Country for Old Men. That's where I think of her from. Yeah.
She's
the wife, from the
classic, you don't belong here, get out of my jurisdiction. All right, sure, okay. They go to a bar after they catch the guy. He gets, so for just to recap again, 4 people are dead. Nobody knows them. One guy was lingering around. They catch the one guy. The sheriff doesn't let Hal interrogate him. Mm-hmm. So they go to a bar, and Hal decides in humorous fashion that he is going to get beat up to get into the jail, which doesn't really make sense as a plan because like the sheriff knows he wants to interrogate him, and she's the one who would put him in the jail. And then there's a moment that I think has been a little bit divisive on the internet, which is Jon Stewart, Aaron Pierre, who until this point has played the character entirely straight.
Right. Yeah.
Zero. He is just fully your straight man in this show. A lady at the bar kind of comes on to him, and then they just have a sex scene. It's kind of out of nowhere. Yeah. If there's one thing that rang a little bit of a false note for me in the show, that didn't feel earned, and it felt a little bit confusing. And then later we learn it's really just to set up a dynamic where she's the wife of the rich guy.
As I was watching that scene, I was reminded that one of the other creators with this is Tom King, who is part of the James Gunn verse, DC thing, and his background is he's like an ex sort of army guy, and so he's been sort of criticized because some of the stuff is sort of like militaristic propaganda. Things he's written, he has this thing about the Middle Eastern War that seems very divisive in the writing, and he wrote Batman, like a long-standing Batman arc. And one thing that's abundantly clear is his portrayal of women is god awful. Like he did like he also did like Supergirl, which I didn't read the Supergirl because he has this plot point of Batman and Catwoman that's basically like women be emotional. So like when that happened, I was kind of like, let's put a pin in this portrayal of women and see how much that sort of filters into here, because that is one of the that is sure, and it's because I'm also interested in how that writer's room looks, considering that the protagonist and one of the best portrayals was Regina King in Watchmen, are up against this dude who has and Tom King, who has these really troubling depictions of women. And I saw that and I was like, I'm with you. I was like, this kind of, I'm going to need something else from this. Like, I don't know if it's just because like that's his vice. Like he is.
Right. But then they didn't set it up at all.
Right. Yeah. Like he's vegan. He's so, he's regimented. Maybe he just is a sex addict. I don't know if that's like what it is.
I couldn't tell what age everyone was. Like that woman was clearly older than him.
Right.
But she didn't appear to be that much older than the sheriff. And then later we find out that the sheriff's married to this lawyer whose dad is kind of who has, the rich guy with the militia, and that's his wife. The dad didn't look that old either, though. It was like a weird. I thought there was some confusing casting going on with the Nebraska people, but I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt because it's still early days. I do think this is the next day he gets bailed out by Jason Ritter, who plays the husband of the sheriff, and in exchange, the Lanterns are invited to Macon, the dad's house. All right. So this is where the 2016 of it all starts popping up a bit. You and I, okay, so let me just lay out the facts. So they drive, Hal and John drive to this, again, this felt like so Fargo, similar to this felt like the latest scene of Fargo. They pull up to this, manor, I don't know what to call it, compound is the right way to put it. They see militia being trained. They end up talking to the actor, by the way. This is Garrett Dillahunt, who plays William Macon, who's the dad of the Billy, who's married to the sheriff. Okay. Immediately, there's no real mystery here. He explains why he wants them, which is he doesn't want Earth to get colonized.
Yeah.
He said he thinks that the guy that is in custody is the advance team. They have a conversation at the end where he says, and this is like very explicit, we want to protect the planet from anyone who's not born on it.
Yeah.
And then he says something about, eating off another man grill, which is an allusion to him knowing that Jon Stewart had sex with his wife. Okay, whatever. I don't know what's going on there. But let's focus on the, protectionism, the xenophobia aspect of this, right?
Yeah.
So it's confusing now, or it's interesting because we have this guy who is coded in all the ways that suggests he is birther, like he is anti-alien. However, David, at this point in the series, we believe the aliens are in fact the bad guys.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I think there's an interesting dynamic here that separates this kind of show from a show like The Boys, where they're like, bad, this is bad, and these are the good guys, and this is the bad people talk, and they sound like these people in America. It's a little bit murky here right now. Who's bad, who's good, whether or not this nativism, I think that's the word I'm looking for, is justified, right? Like it's not obvious who we're supposed to be on the side of.
Well, and also it's important to note that Hal kind of gave a little lore also in the bar, which I want to get back to. I have a question about that. I'm sure we'll ask each other what our resounding questions are. But one of the things he noted is that like Earth was not even originally worth having a Green Lantern because it was so primitive, I guess, to the Green Lantern Corps or whatever. And so this presence of these folks is a reminder of like your own hometown's inferiority, which I think is metaphorically kind of at the heart of xenophobia also. It's just like these other people coming in make me feel less like a superior being or species. I want to get rid of them. So there is also that layer of it too, with the fact of like, hey, we might need some protection from actual superpowered people who can get rid of us with the blink of an eye.
Yeah, I think that's a good read on it right now, which
is
like the sentiments here are very much a commentary. Certainly, it's very explicit the way he talks.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a commentary on the way people speak about these things in the real world, but it is complicated a little bit by the fact that the threat might be real here.
Right. Yeah.
And that's, I think, what I'm interested in seeing how that plays out. You know, when we previewed this series, we talked about whether or not this would be a show that deals with concepts of policing and immigration, all of these things. It seems early on that it's being very intentional about that. Particularly when we get, well, not particularly, but certainly the interrogation scene.
Yeah.
Is a moment where this show kind of puts its cards on the table a little bit with regards to how much it's going to be commenting on the real world. But the sheriff agrees to let Hal interview the redneck dude. This is my favorite scene of the entire pilot. He's in there with him. Aaron, Pierre, John, and the sheriff are watching outside. There's so much going on here. Okay, like, so while they're watching, John says something to the sheriff, which is, we are all aliens. It just depends on what planet you're standing on. Clock that, right? Like, and then meanwhile, as they're having that conversation, Hal is interviewing this guy who plays dumb. He starts quizzing him about Nebraska football because he's supposed to be just this Nebraska checker who wanted to watch a high school football game.
Yeah.
So first of all, I'd like to say, as somebody who was born in Nebraska and grew up rooting for Nebraska football, thought we would get a Tommy Frazier question. It's fine that we didn't. That's if you really want to test someone.
Gotta run the fact checking through you. That's what we've learned.
I'm here for you need a football consulting position. So then he starts asking him about like general questions that people would know, like where did Harry Potter go to school? And then he asks about who the president is, or the last president was, right? 2016.
Yeah. So he was who's the made it. We're in transition. Yeah.
Who's the 44th president of the United States? Barack Hussein Obama. When he said that, we have that the meme of you sitting up.
Right.
That was me on my couch, fully sitting up, locked in.
Yeah.
Basically, I mean, the show is Hal is like, if you live in Nebraska and I'm saying this to you, you're gonna respond a certain way.
Right. Yes.
Woo!
Yeah. Woo! White redneck hick in Nebraska. We talked about Nebraska football. I said, Hussein. What you got? What you got?
And there was some controversy surrounding his birth. I was like, oh, okay, it's over. Alien. You did it.
Yeah. And also, it's. I mean, this is your thing too. It's AI versus real humans. I mean, this alien, but it's also just like plugging this thing into AI. And what do you hear versus an actual lived human experience? And I also kind of felt like how it was. One thing that makes this scene so great is that it feels like Hal could have had him confess to being an alien any other way. It just feels like he was showing off for the sheriff and for John, just be, what I'm saying, just like doing this interrogation when it was clear he knew it was an alien the whole time.
Great performance, by the way, by the guy. The alien.
Yeah.
I thought that scene, he was awesome too. When he flips, it's like truly scary.
Yeah.
And then, but again, like the politics here, like it's also murky and interesting. Like, you are basically like, let's lay it out. He got an alien to prove that he's an alien by not being racist.
Right.
Like that's
Right.
like think
Yeah.
about the levels of that and the
Mhm.
writing and like what they're doing with this scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really interesting stuff happening in this show right already, I feel like.
Yeah, because it's also like that. That's interesting because I mean, does it mean that that stuff is like? I mean, we're talking about colonization and different
Yeah.
things, but like these politics are. I mean, you got to learn Nebraska football so that you can blend in. But the politics of race and racism and is like below them. It's not worth the
Right.
research for it. You know, like it's almost like a misunderstanding of what makes the world what it is, which it runs on racial politics pretty much. And it's
Yeah.
just like that's immaterial to us. I just need to learn enough to like blend in with these Nebraska people and be quiet when they talk about Obama.
But it's really interesting, like that he's the alien is the villain,
Right.
but he's been proved to be the villain by not doing
By
something
not
wrong.
being
Like, it's
right.
just like a really
Yeah.
it's kind of a head mind f, and like
Yeah.
I'm really interested in seeing where they go with it. And then we get a great action sequence where the alien's like, "You have a lantern. It probably needs a charge. I can take out this entire town. Maybe you could protect." There's this like
Yeah.
kind of tense moment where he talks about how he's like a bomb, his nervous system. We get a sense of how dangerous these things are,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because he can blow it up. Hal is able to bubble him in time. But this part of the episode ends with the explosion.
Yeah.
And then we get a flash forward,
Mm-hmm.
2026. Aaron Pierre's got a beard now.
Yeah.
Driving in the snow,
Mm-hmm.
reunites with Sheriff, go up into the stands together. Hal's frozen.
Yeah.
By the way, it is funny. I wrote Coach Taylor a few times by accident just for all the football scenes because he would be like in the stands. I'm like, okay, so what'd you make of the flash forward as a mechanism here for stakes and all that?
Oh yeah. My first thought was it's really tough to make Aaron Pierre look like a normal person. He's just
And we talked about this.
Yeah,
He's too good looking to play normal roles.
it's tough. It's tough. He's just like he should kind of only play like everybody should acknowledge how hot he is. I think if there's one failure of the pilot is that people were not like he's smoking hot as soon as he walked into a scene.
I have a take, which is part of why the sex scene didn't work.
Yeah,
because this is a guy who probably has every woman throwing himself at him constantly, and so it's just anyways,
it just didn't seem like that would be it. Imagine
if he was a normal looking guy, you'd be like, yeah, if a good looking woman and an older woman in a town hit on him, he'd probably be really stoked. But you're like, this guy, come on.
This guy's got 10 ladies waiting for him back home. I think you gotta talk about how hot he is at all times. It's just something. It's like you just kind of got to do it. Like you gotta mention it when he's around. Anyway, that's beside the point.
Like a joke.
Yeah. Like when he shows up in 2026.
Nobody even references it.
Yeah, nobody references it. He shows up in 2026. I think the sheriff's first thought should have been, "Wow, you're still hot. Way to go." But like he pulls up. Yeah, what I didn't kind of realize until we got to is that Guy Gardner has the ring, right? From the Superman movie.
So Guy Gardner, Nathan Fillion,
the
doofy lantern from Superman.
Yeah.
Been teased as he's going to appear in this series at some point.
Right. So Hal is presumably dead. I'm assuming it's not the hologram, some sort of way, which maybe, but he doesn't have a ring. Doesn't seem like John has a ring. Seems like Guy Gardner has the ring. I'm not sure if we eventually get it back onto John, but that was sort of my first thought is now in the midst of all this, we have another mystery of where, like, how does the ring leave these guys and end up on a loser like Guy Gardner?
It's a lot to be unpacked. Yeah, the 2026, the flash forward kind of sets up, how do we get to a point where Hal Jordan is dead, if he's dead? How is he weakened to that effect?
Lingering question for me. Do you think Hal's telling the truth about his story? His origin story?
No, definitely not.
No.
So he gives the origin story. I forgot what point in the episode. I think when they're like, maybe when they're getting to know each other, or maybe when they're talking at the bar, I think is when he explains to him.
It first pops up in the news story, and then at the bar, the story of he's asked, is he afraid? And he says no. There's no way that Hal Jordan said no, that he's not afraid.
I also thought it was interesting that the alien in the interrogation scene recites like the Green Lantern code.
Yeah.
Him, yeah. There's so many mysteries right now with this. Like, why Nebraska? Did it really happen this way? How did he become the Green Lantern? I mean, I left out like the comic moments of him misusing the powers to make money and
Right.
a ear opener, which is a great moment because and it makes Jon Stewart roll his eyes at him. I think it's pretty obvious that these two guys are gonna work together and be fine, even though they're like slightly adversarial at the moment.
Yeah.
But there'll be a moment where obviously that's tested. But yeah, I think generally like I'm interested in the mystery of the backstory, to your point. The mystery of just, I guess, are the aliens the baddies? Because it's like we said, there's this weird thing going on where by setting this in this place with the militia guy and the racists and whatnot, a la Watchmen being in the Midwest as well, it complicates this idea of invaders.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, we know also that these aliens are not, that this idea of Barack Hussein Obama does nothing for them. You know what I'm saying? Like there's nothing that's like the race and race, like that stuff is not part of what makes them tick.
American.
Yeah.
Thing. So it's like your test for the I keep repeating myself, but I just thought like them putting their cards on the table that way and saying this is going to be really this is going to be pretty funky.
Yeah.
Was interesting to me. Very excited for the show. Let's take a quick break and come back and talk about Furious. All right, we're back. Furious also put you in the car, went up to 8 miles an hour, told you to figure it out here. This episode, so intense.
Yeah, this felt like a finale. That's the thing. Yeah. Like this felt like everything coming together at the same time, the finale, and I can't believe we got 2 episodes left. Like, it's amazing.
Again, also, I mean, this show, I continue to be amazed by the way it so deftly navigates different tones.
Yeah.
Like injecting moments of humor. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Steve Way, who plays Alden. Legit made me laugh multiple times in this episode. Just 10 out of 10 performance from him in dealing with Choi. Culminating in one of the I laughed, like actually laughed out loud when he said, "I don't respect you." So
his end manual, put it in automatic, and then say, "I don't respect you." Just a mic drop of an exit.
So funny. Okay, sorry, skipping ahead. So the central action of the show is we finally get Alice and Catherine together.
Yeah.
So because we saw that Alice had seen her in the mirror. She calls Nora. Nora says, basically starts the clock here.
Yeah.
It's like a speed style episode. You got an hour. You got to get her to come in and talk. I will delay. More comic relief on that end, by the way. We'll get to that. But the core of this episode is Alice, Catherine. The whole time, I felt they were underestimating how dangerous Catherine was.
Yeah, Alice was. We've talked about all season this sort of like idea of like characters kind of moving without a plan, and that being not being so irrational that I'm frustrated with them, but just being like, what's your actual thing here? And Alice's whole plan felt like it was never going to work, and she seemed
never going to work.
Never going to work, and it seemed like there was one person who was ahead of her, basically because of her poor planning.
So it starts with her. She's pretending like she's using elements of her real story, the fear of the showers, which ends up being a factor here, to get close to Catherine. She tells her I didn't find her believable, but she was like, you were saying Isabel, like Catherine's alarm bells going off very early but then while Catherine is in the shower, someone tells her that she spotted Alice as an agent. But the goal here is to try to get her to talk to her so that she'll come in and talk about Jay East. And Catherine figures it out pretty quickly. And again, I really like this episode, but Alice's actions really frustrated me when she kept saying, "I just want to talk." It's like, stop saying, "I just want to talk." Tell her explicitly. I don't do that kind of thing. But they have a conference. She runs out. She chases her. She chases her to the showers. Apparently she's so afraid of showers that she like freaks out, which I thought was a little bit unrealistic. But
I want to know. I mean, it'd be interesting the psychoanalysis, like the psychological sort of breakdown of how this stuff works, because to me it did feel, I was like, is this how it really works? I wouldn't ever claim to know or be in anybody's shoes in that situation, but it would be interesting to know, like, I'm sure there's already been like scholarship and things like that people posted on social media about this stuff, because it was jarring to sort of see that would be that kind of a reaction.
So like just running into the dark shower room with your gun, like just wait outside. I don't know. The whole thing kind of was bothered me. So she gets got with the needle.
Yeah.
And then they talk.
Mm-hmm.
Finally. I mean, I'm skipping over. There's a lot of moments before that where Alice is, like I said, she tells her about Marshall. Basically, she basically tells her the truth.
Yeah.
And tries to get her to reveal a little bit. I mean, we learn a little bit about Catherine. It's one of those things where we're not sure if she's telling the truth as well. When she says she was doing okay, she was living by herself briefly, but then she had to help take care of her friend's kid. I kind of thought all that was true.
Yeah.
Which might be the first time we've heard like real truth from Catherine about how she got to this point. But they do end up talking and basically have something of a confrontation where, not confrontation, but Alice finally is like, I want you to come in so we can get him. Catherine says, I don't remember what Jay Easton did. And I believe her.
Yeah.
She says,
I wasn't sure the first time, but now.
Yes.
Yeah.
About the memory. Yes.
Yeah. Her frustration about it, like the way she delivered it, showed me that there's actual frustration about the fact she doesn't know what happened.
So in this whole meantime, we'll get to this stuff with Nora and Ed, but Catherine, Alice assumes she has backup. Catherine's like, wait a second, we've been here a while. There's no one here. You don't have backup. And then she just runs. So Alice runs outside. Marshall, who's been sitting outside listening to Sublime and getting drunk, attacks her. Catherine shoots him, right? But I guess all in all, David, like the big Alice-Catherine meetup, did you feel that it lived up to... Because we've been living with these characters separately for so long, did you feel like bringing them together paid off?
I think so. I mean, I think especially because they ended up more on, like, when they at the end of the last episode, when they meet up with each other, or that they're about to meet up each other, you kind of feel like Alice is going to have it all figured out. Like she's gonna, like she's trained, and she would be able to manipulate Catherine, or it'd be the other way around. And I think the sleight of hand here is that by the end of the episode, she's the one that gets interrogated, and she's the one at the mercy of Catherine, which I did not see coming. Again, like the show just takes these detours that you don't expect it to take, and it's Catherine who has sort of all the control, and was gaining control as the show was going on, partially because of this, like you said, Isabel's, but like that stuff was like Catherine, without even the other person in the shower telling her that. I think she was still eventually going to be where she was.
Yeah. The thing, I like your point about Catherine kind of gaining control. I think the thing that worked for me was this felt like the most we've actually gotten, like the real Catherine,
right, yeah.
Her real story, even the part where they're kind of negotiating over like whether or not it's worth going in, and Catherine just like, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the story of the show, right? Nothing happens to these dudes.
Yeah.
She's making like logical, coherent points about it, while also working through the possibility that at least maybe Alice can help Elena, her friend, escape. At least maybe she could do something with the laptop, maybe. But I think Catherine is pretty well aware that it's over for her.
Right.
She's not going to like live happily ever after here. So I think to that, I liked that. I liked getting to, I liked what they did with that character. I was a little bit frustrated. And this is a me thing. I just hate it when characters don't act logically. And I was kind of frustrated with a lot of Alice's decision making in this episode, the way she went about it. But I did, I think all the moments that were tense where you felt like Catherine was kind of subtly onto her and you were trying to figure out if she wasn't or not, I thought were really strong.
Yeah.
And, payoff for this character, because this whole series is you're constantly on tilt of trying to figure out if you're getting the real version of this woman, if she's telling the truth, you're like watching her mind work and not 100% sure where she's at. And I thought this whole episode between the two of them, she was very strong in it. And it was tense. It was very tense.
Well, I guess Alice's, because the first thing that she did, she calls Nora, she's like, I just signed in as a patient. Whatever. I don't know what I'm doing. And like, to me, we'd gotten so many episodes of that being the expectation. It didn't frustrate as much because I'm just like, this is just who she is. Like, it wasn't like a thing where it was out of character. Like the irrationalness, it frustrates me too, especially when it's like a character's acting rationally. So like we just talked about, like in Lanterns, when John is a certain way, then he has sex with this lady in the truck, and it's like, wait, that doesn't really jive with the character. Alice sort of fumbling this, being on her heels in this setting, like it's in Catherine's home court, like she's got a home court advantage, and that felt like like her character logically making irrational decisions, if that makes sense. So it didn't bother me. It didn't bother me as much because that's just kind of like I didn't expect anything better.
It's a me problem, really. My husband always makes fun of me because I get so frustrated when characters act illogically. Sometimes in movies, I'll like get up and walk out of the room.
My dad would watch wrestling, like he got me into wrestling, and
he'd never happen.
Right, he'd be so mad. My dad would be so mad when the guy, he'd be like, "Why are you going to the top rope? You could have pinned him right there. Like why are you even doing that? It's such a waste of time." Like he's arguing with the wrestlers, like they're making. So I get that frustration. My dad's the same way about rationality, but with professional wrestling.
Meanwhile, so as they're locked into this, there's all this stuff happening on the outside that sets up the ending. One of which is, I talked about this, Marshall, after Alice played him last night, he's been drinking, he's in his car. Great musical selections by the show. I mentioned Sublime. I think it starts with like new metal. I don't even remember what the band was, but he's singing along, getting drunk, looking at the app to figure out where Alice is. Just great stuff.
Shout out to the commenters who agree with us and mention that he just has a just unfortunate faced it man. Just a man whose face is just like, he could never play a good guy. I just don't think he can.
There's this great this movie How to Be Single, I think it's called. He plays like the younger boyfriend of Leslie Mann, and he's really sweet in it. But for the most part, you're right. He is the like the limited series villain king.
Yes.
At this point, you didn't watch All Her Fault, where he plays like the horrible villain husband.
Off and on, watch a little bit of it.
He's so awful in it and unlikable, and he just got one of those faces.
Sorry, guy.
He's great. He's great. He's a great actor. So that's happening. I mentioned this. Choi and then Danny Kelly are interviewing Alden. So first scene, just every scene's go great. When they're in his house and he's messing with the wheelchair and he says, "I did it. I killed that man. These are the eyes of a killer." He says to Choi to slow down. Choi says, "I'm going at when he's talking to him, Choi says, "I'm going at regular speed." And he says, "That's what your mom said last night." Danny and him then talk, and it's interesting. You know, Danny says, "I'm not intimidated by your stuff. My son needs 24-hour care." Alden says, "Did his body stop working when he saw your face?" But you can
and he
tell,
kind of smiled, like he laughed.
Yeah, he's laughing. Well, I think it's important, right? You see, actually, arguably a much easier task than what Alice has, but Danny actually does build trust with him.
Yeah.
And the same thing, it's just an hour together.
Yeah.
But Danny, who's like, the one good guy in the show, outside of Alden, they have like a real conversation where Alden's like, my whole life I've been told I'm not worthy of love. Do you know how hard it is for me to find someone? Danny says, "I think you're being used. I think she killed your mom, took the fentanyl." And he's like, "Not everyone's perfect." It's funny. To the point where at the end, when the interrogation is over and before he shifts it into manual in his wheelchair and tells Choi he doesn't respect him, he gives Danny the USB with the J files. So it worked. At least one cop did the job in this episode.
Yeah, and the show has been, we talked about it last week, and I want to go back and rewatch it. Well, I don't know if it's such a heavy show, but like the way that the show...
Furious just to feel...
Right, just to feel something. It's everything, like they always do, everything runs in parallel, right?
Yeah.
Like we have
Great
our
point.
characters, like last week there was these parallel relationships, right? With the person wanting revenge and the abuser, right? And where they converge. Now we have sort of almost like three parallels with cop and other person. They're using this hour to get what they need. And like you said, Danny is able to get it by finding this commonality, like this real true commonality with Alden, which is like my son and all this stuff. And Alice fails to get to that point. Of course, Nora, that thing just was never gonna. There was never gonna be some like common ground there. But like it's the show just seems to always, or at least the last few episodes, like have these parallel quests
Yeah.
that kind of converge at the end.
Yeah, it's a great point, and it ends up setting up the ultimate bombshell.
Mhm.
Well, put a pin in that.
Yeah.
Dan gets the laptop. All right. So before we get to that, the third thing happening is Nora versus Ed. A lot of also comic moments in this. So Nora is basically trying to buy time for Alice to handle Catherine on her own. She gives her an hour by hiding from her boss, Ed, before telling her that Alice has found Catherine. And we get a lot of great moments of her, hitting all the buttons in the elevator, talking to some guy who she never talks to, asking how he's doing, hiding, crouching so he can't see her. But ultimately, they end up talking, and Nora overplays her hand.
Right, yeah.
She goes in. It's tough because the logical side of me is like you're going too hard.
Yeah.
She basically confronts Ed. She's like, I know you covered this up. I know that you. Well, first of all, before that, there's this moment that really killed me where she tells him what happened, that Alice has found Catherine and she's handling on her own. Ed's like, it's not protocol. She says, I'll slap her on the titty. Ed says, I'm uncomfortable with that language. And this moment where Nora goes, remember when you used to call me Doe for diversity hire? And I'd walk into a meeting and people would say, Doe, Doe, Doe. The delivery of this actress is just so funny and so weird. And I just...
a true breakout performance.
Totally. I love every scene with her so much. I think she's so unique.
Yeah.
Like that weird, insane balance that she manages to straddle of competence, intelligence, off kilter, just excellent.
And the facial expressions.
The facial expression when she's telling me, she goes, do, do, do. Right. The thing she does with her teeth. I don't know. I've just never seen.
And then like she does, like she curls up her face.
Like, and
it's like Viola Davis and George Jefferson, and I don't understand how you can have that blend, because let's not forget, she is playing a character whose job it is to watch the most horrendous thing. This is a super depressing life and character, and she's finding all of these just corners of drama and comedy and just making this thing just so her own.
This show, the acting performances in Quincy Tyler Bernstein, but we talked about Steve Way, who plays Alden, Jake Lacey, who's great as the D-bag. Like, there's so many great individual little performances in addition to the two women, and it's just, she just kills it.
And none of these people, to my mind, like, these aren't like superstars. These are not these are not
totally
people that you've plucked out from different corners of TV and they're like, go make something great. Like, these are people that we just have, for the most part, not really like you've seen, like, he was in this show, but not just like, this is the star, these are big stars, this show, and they're just like outperforming probably everybody's expectation.
I mean, I'm looking at Quincy Tyler Bernstein, who plays Nora, her like IMDb, and she had a big role in Ray Donovan. Okay. She was in Power. It's kind of it. It's a lot of one episode things here and there.
Probably not showcasing her best acting talents and Power. Just throwing that out there. I'm not sure that's conjuring up the same emotional depth that she has in this one. Just throwing it out there. It's possible.
What about she was also, don't sleep on this, she was in Power, but she was also in Power 2.
Power Book 2. There we go.
All right. Anyway, she's awesome, but she overplays it because. Okay, sorry. So she's like, I know that you covered this up to get that financial crime tip from Jay Easton. They kind of imply it was not super surprising. I own you. Yeah. Again, it's so satisfying when she's like, do, do, do. Yeah. But unfortunately, I think
too soon.
Too soon. Yeah. Took the victory lap too soon. She was the Viper in the Mountain from Game of Thrones, because he got right back up and he pulled off the backup, which is insane.
Yeah.
He did it. And he's like, the laptop is scrub team, which I actually don't think he did. I think Alden scrubbed the laptop clean and kept the USB. But he pulls the backup team, which results in what we know now happens, which is Alice doesn't have backup.
Right.
And it's a little infuriating because she runs outside and Marshall attacks her and no one's there to see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Catherine shoots him. All right. So Catherine's on the run. Marshall's been shot. He'll probably live.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't look like a kill shot.
Yeah.
But the big revelation is the ending.
Mm-hmm.
Danny Kelly goes to his car, pulls out the USB that Alden slipped him. It's tons of videos with women's names, girls' names, not women. Mm-hmm. And scroll. Sees Alice, clicks on it, horrified face.
Yeah.
So Jay Easton's laptop, video of Alice, presumably our Alice. This is the bombshell.
How she got pregnant. Also,
probably how she got pregnant.
Because it's 24. It did say 14 on there.
So, yeah, 24. Yeah. Oh, good call. Good catch. Yeah. Raises the question though whether Alice even knows.
So yeah. So this, to me, with Catherine's, I don't remember, and this indicates to me that there's like the lack of memory is intentional. Like there's drugging going on where people don't remember. Like they don't remember things in the room. They don't remember going into the room. They remember, they don't. But yeah, that stuff indicates that, or it's just like,
I don't think she knows.
Yeah, I don't think she knows either. But like just wiped from the. I'm just thinking of how it's wiped from. I don't think it's like a trauma that wiped it. It's like it seems like an intentional drugging of you don't know how this was going on.
Totally agree. I think these women are being drugged. Mm. I think the videos are just of incapacitated women.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Yeah. We were talking last week. This is just we were talking last week about how they were going to close. What was the loop closing thing, and
what connects it all?
Are one of these kids hers or something? And we were just kind of like that kind of felt too on the nose, and they found a way to connect it in a way that
it's not like
it's shocking. It's like still it came out of nowhere, and it didn't feel cheap. It like that revelation did not feel like a cheap moment.
Yeah, it wasn't like Isabel's her daughter. Like we're too intense of a coincidence. I don't know how they're gonna wrap it all up. I really genuinely don't. I mean, right now we the viewers are watching with only one thing, which is that we all want, which is we want Jace to get caught. Mm-hmm. I don't think anyone wants Catherine to get caught or die. I don't know how you get to that resolution in this, and maybe this is a multi-season thing. Like, it doesn't seem possible that they'll get this. But that's such a messed up thing to say. They literally have a laptop of videos of him, and I'm skeptical that anything.
Yeah, I'm skeptical too, and because also, like I'm stuck at a point right now where I'm like, what's the gratifying ending? I don't think there's no happy ending. Like because it's. Sure, maybe they catch Jay Easton, but like, what do you do with the FBI agent? Like what? Like there's just, I don't think there's like a video, like a musical montage to, I don't know, like some song by Pink, and all the dudes just get like arrested and thrown. You know what I'm saying? Like this is all the dudes just go to jail, and it's like the judge slamming the hammer, and it's like, predators no more. Like I don't think we're getting that, and I don't see a pathway there, and you just kind of feel. This hopelessness, like it just feels hopeless, which I think is kind of the point.
At least they have the laptop. I was worried for a second there.
Yeah.
It's all wiped and gone. So hopefully at least something comes of that. But how this is all handled with Alice and whether Nora, because we also mentioned another important thing, which is Ed basically is going to accuse Nora of alcoholism and try to and we show her getting her office cleaned out and stuff. So tough. All right, 2 episodes to wrap this all up. We'll see how it goes. We'll be back next week to continue talking about these 2 very excellent shows. I am enjoying them both. And it's, quite a far cry from Love Island season 8. However,
reunion's coming up.
We will talk about the Love Island reunion. I think it's actually the same week as the Furious finale. That is going to be one of the more talk about tonal shifts.
Yes. We'll do one segment of Furious, one segment of Love Island, and just alternate. We won't split it up half and half. We'll just do boom, 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 and so you'll get so disoriented won't know what to do.
See if we can pull it off. We'll sincere get the same level of justice. Just kidding. I'm not equating them. All right. Thank you as always to Charlie Kravitz and Brian Battasoon, and we'll be back next week.